last year at all. The last couple of years. The people going into teaching, I salute them. We got school shootings, school board screaming, parents and playing. So, I admire them for going into teaching, but many of them are going in for the wrong reason. They think it's an easy job. So I feel like before I can start feeling guilty about preparing them. Now the master's people are completely different. They're so dedicated. The people in the graduate they're so fantastic. I feel like this old fogey, like people can't get them off their phone. It's class. And when we have Zoom class, they're laying in bed and having to fall asleep. So,
I used to teach in graduate school, and I started
this is sort of like when we get started. Good morning. I think you can take it. Since this is the last week of autumn, I'm going to play for you The Autumn Leaves.
And I forgot my music, so. But I have my other cellos.
Thank you, Jackie. What a beautiful start to the service. So good morning, everyone, on this beautiful day. I'm getting a late start, but we're happy that you're here. Welcome to the Treasure Coast Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Stuart, Florida. Today is December 12th, 2021. My name is Deb Harris, and I'll be your worship associate today. We are a welcoming congregation. We welcome people of all gender identities, races, ages, and backgrounds. It's wonderful to see all these vaccinated members in the sanctuary, and also welcome to those of you on YouTube. If you'd like to be put on our email list or to find out more information about us, please go to our website at tcuuc.org. There are also announcements in the Friday newsletter. I think, do we have any visitors? Maybe one? Yes. If you're comfortable at all, we'd love to have you come up and introduce yourself so we can welcome you.
Okay, I'll let Cindy maybe come up. Cindy Donaldson, our daughter, is visiting. She's a park ranger at the North River of the Grand Canyon, and we usually have a visit from her during the time when the park is closed. So she has been with the congregation before, some of you may remember her. So we're glad to have her with us today.
Welcome, Cindy.
Welcome.
Welcome back. Okay. All right. Well, we're glad you could be here. All right. Just a few announcements. Tomorrow, December 13th, there will be cards and games here from 1 to 3. So if you'd like to have some fun and good company, everyone is welcome. Also, every first and third Tuesday, there is a brown bag lunch at the Stewart Veterans Memorial Park, and there's going to be one next Tuesday. So mark that on your calendars for December 21st. And now a big thank you to those who are helping with the service today. Of course, Jackie Robbins for the music. We're so glad you were able to get here today. Our usher and everything else, Fred, and everything. You say, Fred, could you do this? Fred, could you do this? Okay. We're also very, very pleased to have the Reverend John Brown as our guest minister today. But as you all know him, he's less of a guest and more of part of our family. We're so glad that he's here. Reverend John is a retired ordained United Methodist minister and fellow in the American Association of Pastoral Counselors. He serves as a pastoral psychotherapist and has done years of counseling in New York and Florida. He currently is a ministerial associate at the Vero Beach UU Fellowship. Last announcement, after the service, please join us for cookies and water in the narthex. And now Reverend John will light the chalice. Our chalice lighting words this morning: a flame to light our path. Fire consumes and casts a bright light. May our chalice flame consume our regrets for the past, our fears about the future, and our worries about today. May it light for us a path of joy and peace. And now our opening words. Every time we open the newspaper, turn on the news, there's more and more news about screaming people and hate. And I thought that today's reading from the Gray Hymnal, if you want to follow along, and also in honor of Bodhi Day, would be appropriate. So it's number 598, Without Hate. And if you'd like to read along the italicized verses, you may. May every creature abound in well-being and peace. May every living being, weak or strong, the long and the small, the short and the medium size, the mean and the great, may every living being, seen or unseen, those dwelling far off, those living nearby, those already born, those waiting to be born, may all attain inward peace. Let no one deceive another. Let no one despise another in any situation. Let no one, from antipathy or hatred, wish evil to anyone at all. Just as a mother with her own life protects her only child from hurt, so within yourself foster a limitless concern for every living creature. And if we could all say this part as loudly as possible. Display a heart of boundless love for all the world in all its height and depth and broad extent. Love unrestrained, without hate or enmity. Then as you stand or walk, sit or lie, until overcome with drowsiness, devote your mind entirely to this. It is known as the living life divine. And now we will sing our first hymn through our masks, number 38, Morning Has Broken. And now we'll recite our affirmation, speaking the first verse and singing the second. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And now we come to the time when we're able to share our joys and sorrows with one another so we can support and celebrate with each other. If you would like to share a joy or a sorrow, please step up to the microphone to speak. Tell us your name first. Move a stone in our symbolic river of life to mark your joy or sorrow. And we'll go on from there. Please try to keep it personal and brief.
My name is Pam Corbin. I've come to the church twice before about these puzzles for the Council on the Aging. Council on the Aging on Bayshore in Port St. Lucie, the Alzheimer's unit asked for puzzles. I came to this podium and said, Council on the Aging wants puzzles. My wonderful church came right through. People gave me puzzles. People called up Council on the Aging. And today I got more puzzles. I love you all. And the Council on the Aging, I have pictures of our puzzles on the puzzle table. And Bill, thank you today for giving me more puzzles. This church is great, but they do want puzzles, and the staff actually works with the clients individually, and they do the puzzles together. We're great.
Well, I'm just filled with joy that I got an elevation to be able to do all things. So in celebration, I'm going to do a little song and dance. No.
I'm John Brown. Rarely do I come up like this, but my wife had her knee replaced a little over a week ago, and it went very well. And one of the reasons I'm able to be here with you this morning is that she's in good care right now, and a dear friend's keeping an eye on her, and very thankful for a wonderful surgeon who did an excellent job.
What? I'm Fred again. I am joyful because my wife Ronnie had surgery on her eye for cataracts on Tuesday, but she's doing very well. But I'm keeping an eye on her.
I'm Jackie Robbins, and I'm joyful because I have brought along a bag of dreidels for your games tomorrow. I have to play at a memory care, so I can't come, but on the back are directions. So you can just take a picture of the directions, keep it on your phone, and you may take as many dreidels as you'd like to have for next year. But there's a bag of these wooden dreidels, and I'm going to leave them here and move a rock. I'm also joyful that even though I miss my dad, whose birthday is this coming week, he would have been like 105. That he and my mom taught me, did not teach me one thing. The only thing they did not teach me was to how to hate, and I thought that was appropriate to your opening words. They never taught me about hatred, even though she's a Holocaust survivor and blah, blah, blah. I just thought, the one thing that they never handed down to their children is hatred, and that's why I'm able to come here and be joyful about playing music, giving you that gift. So, a couple of rocks. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Bill Falk. I think that on this beautiful morning in South Florida, we do well to remember the people in Arkansas and Kentucky and elsewhere who they remind us that the weather's not always this beautiful everywhere.
I have a joy. My husband and I, starting next weekend for a few weeks, we're going to go up and we're going to see both sides of our families. And we're just really happy to be able to do that this year.
Now, for those whose joys or sorrow may be too private to share, know that our hearts are with you, and Janet is going to move a stone for you. Reverend John will now lead us in our meditation, followed by Spirit of Life.
I am saddened there is so much division, so much separation. I'm very aware, too, particularly as a psychotherapist and as a man of the cloth, of people who are very frightened with what's taking place right now with the Omicron and with the Delta as well. And like one of you have said, I'm so saddened by those who have been injured by these 32 tornadoes covering 6 states. So I felt it was very appropriate at this point that we affirm and acknowledge that we do need one another. And so I'd like to read a wonderful statement found in the back of our hymn book on page 468 by George E. Odell. We need one another when we mourn and would be comforted. We need one another when we are in trouble and afraid. We need one another when we are in despair and temptation and need to be recalled to our best selves again. We need one another when we would accomplish some great purpose and cannot do it alone. We need one another in the hour of success when we look for someone to share our triumphs. We need one another in the hour of defeat, when with encouragement we might endure and stand again. We need one another when we come to die and would have gentle hands prepare us for the journey. All our lives are in need, and others are in need of each and every one of us. May we quiet our minds and our hearts as we enter into a time of silence, and let's clear the monkey chatter away and center right now within ourselves. We will sing now Spirit of Life, the first verse. You will hear play through, and please hum with Jackie as we do this, and then join in singing this very powerful musical statement.
There's a little intro. 3, 4.
of justice, whose holy fire will set me free. Spirit of mine, come to me, come to me.
Your offering helps sustain our church, and we're grateful for your generous giving. Fred, who can do everything, is going to be passing the plate for your generous donation.
Amadeus Mozart. A German dance. 1.
I'm going to be channeling Bob McDonald now when I say after the service, you're all invited to visit the sock. And in case you don't know, where's the sock is right up here. And if you come and visit the sock with a little donation to continue our support for the reunited family of Magdalena, Juan, little Maria, and Sebastian in Indian Town. It's a good day when you can learn something new. And we're really fortunate today. Our own Ken Texera is going to maybe teach us something new about Bodhi Day. So we're really happy to welcome him up to tell us a little bit about Bodhi Day.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here again. And I too will channel Bob a little bit here, in that Bob had said that one of the goals this year might be to have small presentations on how. Hello? Oh, am I?
You're hidden by the Christmas tree on YouTube. So.
Oh. Is this better? And the volume is good?
And you can turn around and say hi to that camera up there.
Hello. Okay, may I dance now? Okay. Yeah, Bob had said that this year it might be a nice idea to have some people talk about how the holidays are celebrated in other traditions. And being the designated Buddhist for Treasure Coast Unitarian Universalism, I'm here. And I'm going to talk about something that's celebrated on December 8th in Buddhist countries. It's called Bodhi Day, B-O-D-H-I. About 2,500 years ago, an aristocratic fellow realized that he had spent a sheltered life when he hit his 20s or late 20s, I think, 30 perhaps, that he had lived a very sheltered life and that there was a lot of suffering that he had been kept unaware of. And beyond that, he felt that it was self-created and that we could find a way around that. He spent a lot of time wandering around, and to make a long story short, he ended up sitting down under a fig tree, a type of fig tree, and said, "I'm not getting up until I get it." And fortunately, it was only a couple of days later when he said, I got it. And that tree has been known, Bodhi in Sanskrit means enlightenment, and that tree has come to be known as a Bodhi tree. And so on this day, they celebrate the moment when Buddha got that people create their own suffering, and there is a practice that they can engage in to eliminate that. And it's celebrated, it's a cultural thing, so it's celebrated mostly among the places where Buddhism has, he was a wise man and a very articulate, and so he became very popular. So his ideas exploded, and they merged with all sorts of religious and cultural traditions, and he ended up, and so Bodhi Day is celebrated mostly in those traditions, and it's not one of the greater traditions, and it's not one of the greater holidays in Buddhism. It's one of the minor ones, but it's celebrated surprisingly in a way that will be very surprising to you. First of all, it's celebrated by placing a lot of candles and lights around the house. Does that sound familiar? It's also celebrated by the decoration of a tree. Now, the Bodhi tree is fairly popular in the East, and so every other person has one in his front yard. If you don't, you go decorate your neighbors. So it is celebrated with light, with decoration, and with a lot of meditation. And I thank you for letting me be here.
Looking for my sermon. There we go. Oh, thank you, Tammy. It is so nice to be with you again this morning. I so enjoy speaking with you, talking with you, just mixing with you. This is a very alive and vibrant congregation, is what I have found. And I certainly enjoy so much as well standing in this pulpit where a dear friend and colleague, Reverend Bob McDonald, stands before you Sunday after Sunday. I've known Bob for 20, 30 years, not only a dear friend, but a wonderful tennis player. And I have found in my relationship with him that he has been a very creative pastor. He's a scholar, has a wonderful mind, is very alive, and has creative ideas. He's a great listener, is what I have found. And also that I have found that he has been quite unique in the way that he administers a congregation. I'm most blessed to have him as a friend and as a colleague. Very glad to be with you this morning to share with you a goal for the holidays. Well, two men were adrift on a raft in the open sea, and it looked bad for them, terrible. Finally, one of them, frightened, began to pray, "Oh, Lord, I've broken most of the commandments. I've got some pretty bad habits. I drink, I steal, I treat people most unkindly, I curse. But if my life is spared now, I promise you that I'll change, that I'll never steal, that I'll be kind, that I'll..." Suddenly, his friend cried out to him, "Wait, Jack, don't go too far. I think I see a ship." "Oh, whoosh," said Jack. "I don't want to go too far in praying to God and setting goals I can't keep." Do you avoid goals? Do you avoid setting goals, particularly during this season, because you're afraid, well, you might not reach them, or that you'll be very critical of yourself if you do not attain the goals that you have before you? I know I'm often that way, and I have to be careful. Goals really are very important. Often I find that they add to the excitement and anticipation for our future. They help us to leave the past behind and to look beyond the present with a sense of curiosity, perhaps a sense of joy. For there's no doubt when we achieve our goals, we feel a sense of success. And let me just speak to you as a shrink for a moment, that the antidote for depression is that of acknowledging, feeling, and seeing ourselves as successful. Success is a key antidote for depression. Well, what are some of the goals you have set for yourselves as this holiday season slowly but surely comes into your life? For this season maybe become even more demanding as the days pass, because none of us know really what is going to happen in the tomorrows. Are your goals of material nature, getting lots of gifts, things, spending a large amount of money for others, or are they of a physical nature? Improved health, or loss of that growing waistline? For soon you will be faced with food choices that may not be too healthy for you or for myself as well. Or do you have a goal of a spiritual nature, a desire to be kinder to family and to friends, to meditate on a daily basis, or to establish a deeper relationship with a family or friend? Or perhaps you have an emotional goal to be happier than you are right now. The first chapter in Psalm, it says, "Blessed is the man who delights in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night." This verse is a preface or introduction to the Psalter. And the effect of it is to offer the exclamation, "Happy are those," as an interpretive clue, both to this particular psalm and to the whole Psalter. In some ways, many of the psalms involve a portrayal of what it means to be happy or to be blessed. In essence, we are to find delight or happiness in our lives. Now, the Hebrew word for law is Torah, but the real translation is misleading. The word Torah fundamentally means instruction. In essence, the translation of Psalm 1 really is, happy is the person who is open to God's instruction. It is not a burden, but actually a delight. But if God is not your belief, do you believe that an important goal is to be a happy person who is open to goodness and justice, self-forgiveness, and really that of peace? A long-term goal I'd like to recommend for us to consider during this season is to express goodness and kindness to others, friend or foe. Goodness, kindness. Simple words. We hear them, but to really practice them, to express them, is a challenge I believe we have this day. And by goodness, I mean moral excellence or virtue. And kindness is defined as favor, friendly feeling. These qualities, I believe, are to be expressed now, not in the tomorrows, not way in the distant future, but in the here now. That requires commitment or loyalty, that which is beneficial to self as well as to others, not in an egocentric, unkind way, but in a loving, thoughtful manner. And when we do that, our lives are like trees planted by streams of water, and we will yield fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. When I think of this last description of a person who is expressive of kindness and goodness in the present, I recall a very important person in my life, a lady by the name of Mrs. Robbins. She was the superintendent of my Sunday school when I grew up in Rockville Center, Long Island. And when I think of her life, I think of a life who is planted by streams of water. If there was a birthday when all the children gathered together for worship prior to our Sunday school class, a green bank in the shape of a New England church appeared in Mrs. Robbins' hands, and the birthday boy or girl placed money in the bank, and then all of us would sing that song, "Jesus loved me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so." Her kind and good nature brought out a sense of happiness, appreciation of our time together, and the value of community. Mrs. Robbins, through her devotion and living faith, illustrated the lesson that love is given to all of us. And by her patience, her sense of humor, and really her commitment to those who knew her, her life became a living message of kindness and certainly of that of love. And so, as Unitarians, we are to be a living reminder of kindness and goodness with all the people we meet. We do this in our attitudes, our behavior. So are these qualities not evident when we become instruments of justice, peace, forgiveness, and mercy? For you see, the happy person delights in the teaching of goodness. Prosperity does not involve getting what always wants. Rather, it involves being connected to that which is ethical. In the book of Psalms, the righteous are constantly assailed and persecuted and threatened. And the prosperity of the righteous is real but hidden. It is an openness to and connectedness with God, or a loving presence in the universe which sustains life amid all threats. In being open to goodness and kindness, we all do have an alternative. And that is, we can act in wicked ways, which is my second point during this season. It was once said, happy are those who do not follow the advice of the wicked. What is disruptive about the meaning when we look at that word wicked? As found in the psalm, it is perhaps what North American culture too often promotes as a high virtue: autonomy or self-sufficiency. The autonomy states, I don't need anyone or a powerful presence in my life. I am the Omega. I am the Alpha and the Omega, by the way. I have all the answers. I am separate from any form of dependency. But in our culture, I believe we do need help, whether from others or from a community of faith such as ours. And when we do reach out, it is a statement of strength, not weakness or dependency. And when human beings maintain the goal of complete autonomy in life, they often pay all kinds of consequences. The end result is a society of isolated selves. The irony is tragic. The pursuit of individual self-fulfillment separates us from being kind or considerate, and that yields self-alienation. We often hear the word narcissism in this day and time. And if we go back to Greek mythology, Narcissus is the one who kept looking in the pool and finally died, did not go on for an extended, infinite period of time. For I believe the challenge is to keep our lives primarily centered on the third principle, and that is, quote, to accept one another and encourage spiritual growth in our congregations. One person who did try to overcome wrongdoings and follow the path was one of my favorite musicians. I'm sure Jackie knows this person too, Johann Sebastian Bach, whose music is very popular in this holiday season. For him, the spiritual dimension was the creator. God was very important in the life of this musician. Bach, who lived from 1685 to 1750, was not only an organist, a composer, but he was a prominent teacher as well. He also regarded himself as a conscientious craftsman, doing a job to the best of his ability for the satisfaction of his superiors, and for the pleasure and edification of music appreciators, and for the glory of God. In fact, when he signed a composition, he wrote the initials SDG, which means Solo Deo Gloria, or God alone will be glorified. So like Bach, we are to do the best in really giving kindness to others and finding ways of adding pleasure to those around us. In this holiday, when accidents occur and harmful events happen, I don't believe it is kind or helpful to blame a higher power, whatever you may want to call this higher power, even God. For example, when the death of a loved one happens for no reason, do we blame it on this special presence, or do we blame it on the universe, or do we blame it on another human being, even God? When death occurs, perhaps we feel angry, which is a normal feeling during grief, confused, fearful, and possibly judgmental, and state that it is the fault of this higher power or even God. A creative, loving power in the universe or God, I believe, is not a monster who kills, who causes the destruction of property, causes 32 tornadoes, or the death of countless people because of the weather. In many cases, we have the freedom to pursue goodness, justice, love, and peace. And yet events happen in life that we simply do not have an explanation for. A number of years ago, the 21-year-old son of the famous William Sloane Coffin, the pastor of Riverside Church in New York City, drove off a bridge into Boston Harbor and he drowned. Trying to comfort him, a woman said to Dr. Coffin, "I just don't understand God's will." And angry, Coffin shouted back at her, "I'll say you don't understand God's will, lady. Do you think it was the will of God that Alex never fixed that lousy windshield wiper, that Alex was probably driving too fast in such a storm, that Alex probably had too much to drink? Do you think it was God's will there are no street lights along that stretch of road, no guardrails separating the road and Boston Harbor?" The woman was stunned, but it caused her to reflect on what she had said. Coffin later commented, "For some reason, I can't get it through people's heads that God doesn't run around the world pulling trigger fingers, clenching knives, turning steering wheels. God is dead set against all kinds of natural deaths. This is not to say there are no unnatural deaths. There are. But the one thing that should never be said about any violent death like Alex's death is that it is the will of God," he went on to say. "My own consolation lies in knowing that it was not the will of God that Alex died, but that within the waves, when the waves closed over the sinking car, God's heart was the first of all hearts to break." I believe that's true. I also believe that a higher power, or whatever you call this unique presence in the universe, is a compassionate creator who cares and is concerned about the well-being of each and every one of us. So it is important to be aware of how we look at life events, to see life as it really is, to not contort it, but to be true to truth. "For ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson were going camping. They pitched their tent under the stars and they went sound asleep. Sometime in the middle of the night, Holmes woke up Watson and said, "Watson, look up at the sky and tell me what you see." Watson paused and then he replied, "I see millions and millions of stars." And Holmes said, "What do you deduce actually from that?" And Watson replied, "Well, if there are millions of stars and even a few of those have planets, it's quite likely that there are some planets like Earth out there. And if there are a few planets like Earth out there, there might also be life." And Holmes said, "Watson, you knucklehead, it means that somebody stole our tent." Well, you and I have the choice to look at the world in a variety of ways, don't we? We can see the world as it truly is, and I believe that is our challenge. And hopefully we experience that that is a valued goal we hold sacred. I see a world, especially now, that needs individuals who are willing to show kindness, to be goodness to them, no matter if they're strangers or family members or friends. Our perceptions, therefore, plays a central role in sowing joy and meaning in life. In closing, blessed are all of you this day who delight in expressing goodness and kindness. May you meditate day and night on what it truly means to show these qualities. And go ahead and grow as you strive to achieve as well to express these goals. Go ahead and grow up, but don't grow old. Take along that curious child within. Go ahead and grow strong, but don't grow bitter. Go ahead and grow in faith and in love. The most elusive and sought after commodity in this life is unconditional love and acceptance. Love empowers us and gives us a sense of meaning and worth and hopefully joy. Love for each other serves as a foundation for goodness and kindness. May these two qualities be your goal during this holiday season. Amen. Our closing hymn, Now Sing We Now Together. We sing now together. Page 67 in your hymn books. Blessed is the path on which you travel. Blessed is the body that carries you upon it. Blessed is your heart that has heard the call. Blessed is your mind that discerns the way, and blessed is the gift that you will receive by going. Blessed are you who show kindness and goodness to all you meet. Truly blessed is the gift that you will become on the journey, especially during this season. Amen.
Amen. And this is J.S. Bach, whose first wife passed away, probably just wore out after 14 children. It was not God's will to take her. But then the second wife bore him another 9 kids, because I guess he was a little thirsty when he got home from working in God's name all day at the church. Here we go. And you'll recognize this because it's not written for the cello. Bach. Franz Sebastian Bach, a two-part invention. Two-part invention.
Don't forget the sock, and please have